She cooked their food every single morning. She made their bread. She poured their milk. She cared for their children for 17 years. And when the most powerful men in the village decided she had become a problem, they called her a witch. They tortured her until she confessed. And then they cut off her head. This is the story of Anna Göldi, a Swiss maidservant executed on June 13, 1782, the last person put to death for witchcraft in Europe. Not in the Dark Ages, not during the medieval witch trials. In 1782, the same year Mozart was performing across Europe, the same year the Enlightenment was supposed to have already won. Almost nobody knows her name. By the end of this video, you will, and you're going to be furious. Anna Göldi was born in 1734 in Sennwald, Switzerland. Fourth of 8 children. Poor family. She started working as a domestic servant at 18 because that was the only life available to a woman with no money and no connections in 18th century Europe. No property, no legal rights, no way out except marriage, and even that required her employer's permission. Her life before Glarus had already been brutal. In her early 30s, a mercenary got her pregnant and left the country before the baby arrived. The child died the night it was born, something tragically common in that era. But instead of leaving it alone, the authorities accused Anna of killing her own infant. She was publicly humiliated, paraded through the town in the pillory, and sentenced to 6 years of house arrest. She survived that. She kept working. Because what else was she going to do? By 1765, she moved to Glarus and took a position in the household of Johann Jakob Tschudi. Here's where you need to pay attention. Tschudi was not just anyone. He was a physician, a judge, a government counselor, and one of the most powerful men in the Protestant canton of Glarus. He came from one of the wealthiest families in the region. His word was basically law. Anna worked in that house for 17 years, and then sometime around 1780, she and Tschudi began an affair. This is the part the history books bury in a footnote, but it is the engine of everything that follows. According to journalist and researcher Walter Hauser, who spent years investigating this case, Tschudi initiated the relationship. Some accounts suggest Anna became pregnant by him. She was 46. He was 35, married, and had everything to lose if the truth came out. Adultery was a crime. His career, his reputation, his entire social position depended on this staying quiet. He needed her gone, permanently, and in a way that made her look like the problem. Here is how he did it. In late 1781, one of Tschudi's daughters, 8-year-old Anna Göldi, began falling sick, convulsions, vomiting, and then something that stopped the whole village cold. The girl was coughing up needles and pins, metal needles, from inside her body. Tschudi pointed straight at Anna. He claimed she had placed them in his daughter's bread and milk through supernatural means. He fired her on the spot and pressured her to leave Glarus entirely. But here is the detail that should have ended the whole case right there. The little girl got better. Anna Göldi recovered, fully, on her own. After Anna left the house, after the supposed source of the curse was gone, the child healed. Any reasonable person looking at that sequence of events should have closed the investigation. The girl was fine. No one had died. Whatever had happened, it was over. But then the authorities brought Anna back. They dragged her to the Tschudi house and told her to heal the child. Anna refused. She said she had nothing to do with the girl's illness and therefore had no idea how to cure it. She had already spent weeks in chains by that point. Exhausted, she eventually relented. She massaged the girl's leg and foot daily. Within days, Anna Göldi was walking again and appeared to make a full recovery. The authorities looked at that recovery and saw proof of guilt. If Anna could heal the child, she must have been the one who cursed her. There was no version of events in which Anna could win. Now here is the legal problem Tschudi and the court had to solve. Under the law of the canton of Glarus at that time, poisoning that did not result in death did not carry the death penalty. The child had not died. She had recovered. By the letter of the law that existed in 1782, Anna Göldi could not be executed for what she was accused of doing. The law simply did not allow it. So the court had a choice: drop the case, or find a way around their own law. They issued a public arrest warrant in the Zürcher Zeitung with a reward of 100 crowns for Anna's capture. She ran, through the Rhine Valley, across cantonal borders, sleeping rough. People who knew her said she was like a wild horse, impossible to catch. They caught her anyway. She was brought back in chains, hung from a pulley by her shoulders with stones tied to her ankles, and tortured until she said what they needed her to say. Under torture on April 11, 1782, Anna confessed to making a pact with the devil, who came to her in the form of a large black dog and gave her the needles to harm the child. When the torture stopped, she withdrew everything. Said it was all coerced. Said none of it was true. They tortured her again. She confessed again. This time she kept the confession. She had noticed the pattern. Now the court had what it needed. By framing the charge as a supernatural act, a poisoning carried out through demonic means, Tschudi and his associates on the council could argue this was something beyond an ordinary poisoning case, something that warranted exceptional punishment. The official charge on paper said poisoning. The reasoning behind the sentence was witchcraft. They kept the word witchcraft out of the record entirely because it would have caused outrage. Voltaire was still alive. The Enlightenment press would have torn them apart, so they destroyed the trial protocols. Burned the internal documents. What survived shows just enough to understand what happened and not enough to prove it completely. That was by design. The council voted on June 6, 1782. 32 for death, 30 against. 2 votes. A sentence that broke their own law, built on a confession extracted by torture for a crime that left no victim because the girl had fully recovered, pushed through by the most powerful family in the canton. 1 week later, on June 13, 1782, Anna Göldi was beheaded with a sword in the public square in Glarus. A contemporary observer called it, for the first time in print, a judicial murder. Rudolf Steinmüller, a friend of Anna's who the court accused of being her accomplice, hanged himself in his cell 1 month before her execution. He was buried at the execution site, without a grave marker. Johann Jakob Tschudi, the man who initiated the affair, engineered the accusation, and used his position to move the entire machinery of the state, died in 1784. 2 years later, natural causes, nothing. If this is the kind of dark history you're here for, cases where the official record and the real story are 2 different things, subscribe right now. Every week this channel goes where the history books left 1 line. Click the button. 2 seconds. In 2007, the Swiss Parliament acknowledged it as a miscarriage of justice. In 2008, the canton of Glarus formally exonerated Anna Göldi, 226 years after beheading her. There is a museum in Mollis now. The torture device is on display. Her story is there. She cooked their food, she poured their milk. She worked in that house for 17 years. History gave her a footnote. We gave her this.